that song's in teal. Right? Great, Charlotte. Great. Sorry. Yes, it is.
So this was an up in the air thing. Charlotte Salisbury is going to like the shower. And she was going to say, or I'm saying, she talked about it on the letter.
She's talking about it.
According to what they had read,
Yeah, I'm trying to think the last time.
Yeah.
Charlotte said,
Yeah, you don't need to get me.
This was one time maybe the last week, like a week or two ago, but yeah.
right, so, but also Charlotte wanted to volunteer. Like the camera with her. So, Charlotte, do you have a volunteer yet to like the camera with you?
The other Charlotte.
Okay, all right.
She's gonna read and then do the affirmation. And Charlotte, this Charlotte is very scared of fire and does not do well.
Campers.
I do well lighting it.
And she can't blow it out. That's why she's up there.
Yeah, and I don't like to put my hand.
What happens at birthdays?
Oh, somebody else is doing it.
Like,
So like would trick candles like really mess you up then?
like my last.
You ever had trick candles before? You know those?
We never even get to
My last birthday, we had ice cream.
Sparklers are good.
Yeah.
I know automatically.
Yeah. I found one that was like exploding sparkler, so I got it, we're down to problem solved. We've actually done like classes now. She put this up there, she's like, hey Alex. I don't know.
You like blow balloons and stuff?
That's not me. That's it won't be there.
But I just kind of felt like this, we're gonna get up and walk around.
Your husband's on camera. It's really. I was thinking about that. the other day because I sometimes when I come down on the things and I was thinking that would drive them insane. Because I've never had to do that. I haven't done it here. Yeah, me too.
Like even last night when I was reading to them, I was like,
Yeah, I actually don't like doing this.
I understand too for people.
Yeah, but it gets a little tricky for depending on who the camera is.
I don't need more than
Yeah, just sometimes giving him a heads up that we're gonna be moving. And then I'll just like give you a one shot.
There's an issue.
So we didn't go to the mall yesterday. We had gone, we were there all day.
Hello, good morning. Oh, thank you. Good morning. Whether you're here or in person or joining us from home, it's wonderful to be together. My name is Caroline Blanchard, and I'm leading worship this morning while Reverend Sasha is out of the pulpit. As we settle in for the hour, let's pause to center our hearts and our minds for worship. We'll begin with the words adopted by the Second Continental Congress in 1776, known as the Lee Resolution, that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connections between them and the state of Great Britain is, and ought to be, totally dissolved. Come, my friends, let's worship together. It's time to light our chalice, the symbol for our Unitarian Universalist tradition. This morning, Charlotte Walwork, one of our junior worship helpers, will kindle the flame, and Charlotte Salisbury will do our reading.
Our chalice lighting words this morning are the poem I Sing to America by Langston Hughes. I sing to America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow I will be at the table. When company comes, nobody will dare say no to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. And now, please stand as you're able for our affirmation by James V. Blake. Please repeat after me. Love is the spirit of this fellowship. Love is the spirit of this fellowship. And service is its law. And service is its law. This is our great covenant. This is our great covenant. To dwell together in peace. To dwell together in peace. To seek the truth and love. To seek the truth and love. And to help one another. And to help one another. Should I say that? And now let's stay standing for our opening hymn. If any other junior worship helpers would like to join us up here, help lead our hymn, please come up now with your hymnal. Our opening hymn today is number 119, Once Every Soul and Nation. The words are on your screen and also in your color hymnal.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Sue Brown, and I'm today's worship associate. Welcome to the Morristown Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Welcome especially to any newcomers, returning members, and anyone who joined us online today. If you're tuning in live on YouTube or Facebook, please say hi in the chat or comments. We're delighted to have you with us. We're a community of many ages, but we all worship together. You can join us many ways on Sundays, including online, here in the sanctuary, or from one of the many rooms in our building where we live stream the service. In particular, I want to draw your attention to our family room for families with little ones, which is located out our doors and to the right. The family room is especially great if you need a space to talk, soothe the crying infant, or get the wiggles out. Our service is live streamed there, so you won't miss a thing. Kids of all ages are always welcome in our services, but we offer childcare as an additional option for families with small children, ages 9 months to 5 years. Parents, if you find yourself in need of childcare at any point during worship today, please bring your little one to room 201 at the top of the stairs. Again, welcome. We're glad you're here today.
Okay. We're going to do our time for all ages, and this morning we're going to be moving around a little bit. We don't have a story, we have signs instead. So, can I get any kids who want to participate in time for all ages? Okay, hello. Well, hello. Hello. Okay, we're gonna move around a little bit today. We're gonna make a timeline of America. Okay, so we are gonna start in the center back. So come on back with me, and I need somebody to stand here and hold a sign.
I will. I'll hold the pink one.
Well, we're gonna have to go in a special order. Okay, so we're gonna start with this orange one. So who wants to hold this sign? Okay, there you go, Charlotte. You want to read what the sign says?
1776 Declaration of Independence.
Very good. So Charlotte, you're going to stand here, and you are going to be 1776 and the Declaration of Independence. Okay. Oh, excellent. I like it. Okay. So I mapped this out earlier, and we're going to have to count by twos. So we're going to count by twos to go 12 steps to 1788. So who wants to count for me? You want to count? Can you count by twos? Yes? Okay, here, I'll help you if you need it. So, here we go. We stand right here because we're going to have to go this way. So, we go 2,
4, 6, 8, 16,
10.
10.
Good, and then
12.
12. Very good. So, do you want to stand here, and you're going to hold our sign. I can help you read it. It says, oh, you wanted a pink one? Sorry. It says 1788 ratification. Can you say that word?
Ratification
Of the U.S. Constitution.
of the U.S. Constitution.
Very good. Okay, so she's going to stay there, and now we're going to go 12 more steps to 1800. Charlotte, you want to do that one? Okay, you're going to go 12 more steps. Count them out.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12.
Excellent. You're going to stand there. And want to read our sign?
1800, most northern states abolished slavery.
Okay. Who wants to be next? Alice, come here. I may have to. We're going to go 48 steps. 48 steps. And we're going to count by twos. Can you help me with that?
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 44, 48.
Done. Excellent. Okay, and can you read the sign? I can help you if you need it. What year is it?
1848. Seneca Falls, New York. First women's rights
convention in the world.
Okay, good. Hold your sign up. So Charlotte over there has the Declaration of Independence. Then we have the Constitution, the freedom of most slaves in the North, and now we have the first women's rights convention in the world. Who wants to help me out next? We have 17 steps. Somebody want to help me? You want to come? I'll help you count. You want to hold a sign? Thank you for helping. Yes. Here, you hold the sign. I'm going to help you count, okay? We're going to go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. I said 17, but we count by. You want to stand there and hold your sign up real high so everybody can see it. And it says 1865, into the Civil War and slavery. Do we have any more kids? We're running out of kids. Okay, so Charlotte, you want to leave that sign there and come to the next one? Oh, we got it. Yeah. Charlotte, you can do the next one, okay? Well, I'm going to go 50. Do you want me to help you count, or can you count? I better help. You got a block in your mouth. Okay. We're going to go 55 steps. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 30, 2, 4, 6, 8, 40, 2, 4, 6, 8, 50, 52, 54, 55. Whew. You want to hold your sign? It says 1920, the 19th Amendment goes into effect. Anybody know what the 19th Amendment did? Women's suffrage. Very good. Lifelong learners. Charlotte, Redmond, you want to do the next one? Hi, buddy. You're doing a good job. Charlotte, can you go 44 steps? No, hold on. Counting by twos. 2, 4. Sure, you want to leave that one and come join us?
2, 4,
6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4. Smaller steps. 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Wait, I got off. We'll say that's good, Charlotte. Charlotte, you want to read your sign?
1964 to 1965, Civil Rights and Voting Acts passed.
And then we got to go 60 steps. But you know what? You want to just, I counted them out earlier. You want to just take it all the way over to the stairs again? Go.
No, I want the 60.
You want to count to 60. Okay. We're going to go by twos again. But good for you.
2, 4, 6,
Smaller steps. We're going to run out of room.
10,
Okay, 12.
12, 14, 16, 18, 20.
How about we do the last bit by fives? Can you count by fives?
Okay.
25,
26,
30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. Hold on, I forgot our number. What's our number? On the back. Okay, 60 steps. And now we're at 2025. What's that? What year is 2025?
This year.
This year. So you see, if we go around the room, here is a big circle of American history. Do you see how everything's laid out? Do you want to leave your sign here? No? You want to take it's pink because you want to take it? Okay, I'll let you take it. Thank you, friends. If you want to leave your sign where they're at, and you can go back to your seat. You can leave that one there. You can take the pink one, though. Okay.
Now it's time for our milestones and passages. Sometimes we come to this sacred place with much on our hearts. Life is like a beautiful rose with sweetness and softness, but it can also have its thorns. Perhaps you welcomed a new baby, lost a loved one, got a new job, or received a new diagnosis. Children have joys and sorrows too, things that make you happy or sad. Whatever your age and whatever the roses or thorns of your own life, you can share them in our service by filling out our Milestones and Passages form before 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. The form can be found in our newsletter, and we also have paper forms located on the table on your way into the sanctuary. We have a few milestones and passages to share today that people have submitted. Please respond after each by saying, "We hold you in our hearts." If you are joining us online today, I invite you to participate in our chat or comments. First, from Joe Erhane. For years, the door to the closet under the main stairwell has been missing. The gathering of men took up a collection, bought materials, and made a new door, which is now in place. We hold you in our hearts. From Diana Hart. 35 years ago today, I delivered my daughter, Sophie. She has given me 2 grandsons, Grayson and Carter. I am so grateful. We hold you in our hearts. From Alan Wells. I would like to honor the Dalai Lama today, it being his 90th birthday. I feel privileged to once have had a brief meeting with him. When asked what he was like, I reply that I have never met a more ordinary human being. I wish to celebrate the love, kindness, and peace he has brought to our troubled world. If you would like to celebrate with me, you can do so today by performing a random act of kindness. We hold you in our hearts. From Beverly and George Hayes. We also met the Dalai Lama on 2 occasions. The first was at a presentation at the Beacon Theater in New York. We thought we arrived early, but the line to get in was already at least around the block. The second time was at a UN conference in South Korea. That time we were in the reception line waiting for his arrival. When he arrived, he looked each of us in the face, smiling and bowing, which we all reciprocated. It was a genuine warm feeling that remains with us. We hold you in our hearts. Now, let's take a quiet moment now for the prayers and meditations of our own hearts. Close your eyes. Get comfy in your chair. Breathe. Hear the breaths of those around you. This community that holds you. Feel the spirit of life holding us all in this still moment. Let's take 3 deep breaths together and then a moment of silence. Amen, and blessed be. Did reading, Charlotte? Come on. Or, sorry, can't have enough Charlottes.
Our reading this morning is a piece titled 4th of July Speech by Frederick Douglass. What, to the American slave, is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him, more than all other days in the year, the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham, your boasted liberty an unholy license, your national greatness swelling vanity. Your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless. Your denunciations of tyrants, brass-fronted impudence. Your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow mockery. Your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings. With all your religious parade and solemnity, are to him mere bombast, fraud, deception, impiety, and hypocrisy. The thin veil to cover up crimes which would disgrace a nation of savages. There is not a nation on the earth guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than are the people of the United States at this very hour. Go where you may, search where you will, roam through all the monarchies and despotisms of the old world. Travel through South America, search out every abuse. And when you have found the last, lay your facts by the side of everyday practices of this nation. And you will say with me that for revolting barbarities and shameless hypocrisies, America reigns without a rival. Now please stand for number 121 in your gray hymnal. We will build this land.
We come now to the time in our service each Sunday when we pause to offer our gifts of financial support to this congregation. Your donations make all that we do here together possible and also help make our wider community a better place. That's because each Sunday we give at least half of the money we collect to an organization that is doing good work to advance our Unitarian Universalist values of love, justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity in a world that hungers for them now more than ever. Today's offering will be split 50-50 with Homeless Solutions, helping the homeless and at-risk community of Morris County. Text 73256 with keyword MUUF or at muff.org/offering. You may give in our collection plate or by following the instructions printed in your order of service and shown on the screen. Thank you in advance for your generosity. Duh. So
That was a test to make sure everyone was paying attention. Good job, you all passed. You passed. Is it okay if I stand down here and not up on the stool? Thank you. So think back to my opening words, the Lee Resolution that declared the former British colonies free and independent states. On what date was that passed by the Second Continental Congress, do you think? And just go ahead, shout out some answers.
1965.
That's a year. It was 1776, but come on, what date do you think?
July 4th.
You think July 4th, and there we go. There's a good student. So most people are going to answer the 4th of July, right? And I'm sorry, that was kind of a trick question that I set you up for. But Noel is correct that the Lee Resolution was actually passed 2 days earlier on July 2nd. This was the day that John Adams thought would be celebrated for generations to come. 2 days later, on July 4th, the Second Continental Congress met again and adopted the written justification for the Lee Resolution. Do you know what that was called? Declaration of Independence. Very good. That was not a trick question, and you trusted me. Thank you. So the Declaration of Independence is just a philosophical document that gives a justification for what the Second Continental Congress had already done. On July 2nd, they had decided to go ahead and send the declaration that had been written months earlier to the publishers. And on July 4th, they ordered it distributed, and legend has it that Washington then ordered the document read publicly. And that's the date that has come to be celebrated as Independence Day. So I share this history with you not as some erudite exercise on the 4th of July holiday weekend, but rather to illustrate a fact about freedom. Political freedom, what the colonies gained on July 2nd, is not always the same as one's lived experience and lived freedom. Freedom and independence are steps taken over time. So what was the 4th of July in 1776? Politically, it was an unenforceable declaration by a bunch of rebel independent colonists. It would require a 5-year Revolutionary War and 2 more years of negotiations for the American colonies to be independent of Great Britain. In function, not a lot changed. It's the day when many free white people found out that they were free. As states drafted their new constitutions, a greater number of white men gained the right to vote based on nothing more than being born white and male in North America. But who was left out? White women celebrated the 4th of July. Their economic boycotts of British goods had been the most successful strategy against the British to date. In 1776, Abigail Adams had written to her husband, John Adams, to, quote, remember the ladies. She implored him to, quote, be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors, and reminded him that, quote, all men would be tyrants if they could. But women secured no rights in the Constitution or the Bill of Rights. One state, New Jersey, did write in more inclusive language into the original state constitution in 1776, but then quickly repealed it when men were outraged at women showing up to the first state election. Women's steps to greater freedom and independence were slow. In 1848, so I remember when we went around the room, I think, who was our friend? It was over by the doors, right? If the Declaration of Independence was there on the stairs, it took all the way over by Bob, who's raising his hand, thank you, for the Seneca Falls Convention in New York State. It was the first women's rights convention in at least the modern world. They adopted a document called the Declaration of Sentiments, which mirrored the words of the Declaration of Independence and declared, quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men and women are created equal." It called out the hypocrisy of the original Declaration of Independence, replacing the charges of tyranny against Britain's George III with charges of tyranny by men against women for not allowing them to vote, for denying them their legal rights after marriage, and denying women access to education. American women's next step to greater freedom and independence would not come until the 19th Amendment, which our friend earlier knew. It granted women the right to vote. But who was still left out? Who would you say, hon? Excellent, yes. People who do not, are gender non-conforming. I'm just going to go on, honey, thank you. We can talk more later. In function, only white women gained the right to vote. Native American men and women would not gain the right for several years to come, and depending on what state they lived in, depended on when they got the right to be citizens and the right to vote. Chinese men and women were excluded from both citizenship and the right to vote until the 1940s. And black men and women would be excluded until 1965, which I think that sign was around here. 1920, oh, that's right, it was way over there. But who was still left out, and what steps were still left undone? Let's pause here and stand as you're able and willing to sing hymn number 168, One More Step, just the first verse. It's in your gray hymnal, and the words will also be on the screen. So we talked about women and their experience with the 4th of July, but what was the 4th of July to enslaved Americans during the Revolutionary War? During the war, Britain, the country we were fighting against, had declared enslaved people free if they were willing to fight on the side of Great Britain. Hundreds, if not thousands, of enslaved people throughout the colonies, north, south, and middle, took up arms against their enslavers to fight for the British crown. After the Revolution, some were removed and transported back to England, where they entered lives as free men and free women. But most of those freed men were captured and sold back into slavery by the very same white Americans who had pursued their own independence. For nearly 20 years after the signing of the Constitution, Southern slave owners pushed the federal government to secure payments from Britain for what they called their stolen property. The freed black men and women who fought for the British during the Revolutionary War and transported back to England. In fact, the first two-party system in America emerged over a treaty that failed to address these payments, and Southern slave owners and Middle Colony and probably some Northern slave owners coalesced together to fight it because it didn't address their, quote, stolen property. Newly free and independent white men actively were working against the freedom of enslaved black people. After the American Revolution, slavery was still legal in each of the 13 states that drafted the Declaration of Independence and later the Constitution. Some states, starting in Pennsylvania, my Midwest accent, Pennsylvania, New York, and Vermont, which was not one of the 13 colonies, began to draft their state constitutions that outlawed slavery. New Jersey was not among these states. It took until 1800, which I think was over there on the yellow sign. It took until 1800, nearly 25 years after the signing of the Declaration of Independence, for most of the northern states, not all, but most, to outlaw slavery. New Jersey was not among those states. New Jersey would still have slaves at the onset of the Civil War. Emancipation and abolition are coming in gradual steps to enslave people, even in the North. But who is still left out? The federal Constitution was adopted in 1788. Our Constitution, today still contains 3 clauses condoning the institution of slavery. First, northern states were legally required, and really I should say all states were legally required to return enslaved people who had escaped to free territories, and they had to return them back to their enslavers. Second, a compromise was struck allowing 3/5 of the population of enslaved people to be counted in the state's population to beef up the representation of slave owners. And third, the Constitution gave a 20-year guarantee for the continued importation of black bodies from Africa for enslavement. These words still exist in our national Constitution. So what are the next steps from there? From 1776 to 1865, slavery was legal throughout most of the United States. Charlotte Walwork read to us the condemning words of Frederick Douglass, a well-known former slave and abolitionist before the Civil War, condemning the hypocrisy of the 4th of July celebrations for freedom. Not until the end of the Civil War in 1865 was slavery ended in most cases. But who was still left out and why? After the Civil War, black Americans were subject to harsher legal codes, forced labor, and a legalized system of segregation and oppression known as Jim Crow. Where was freedom for black Americans? In the years following the Civil War, the 14th and 15th Amendments were passed to the Constitution. The 14th Amendment gave birthright citizenship to all people born in the United States. So, I don't have this in my script, but I'll tell you. There had been a Supreme Court case about 10 or 15 years earlier that said that enslaved people were not citizens of the United States because they were not people, that they were property. So we had to have an amendment overruling that and saying, no, anyone born in the United States is a human and therefore a citizen. It also said that states could not deny the equal protection of the Constitution to any person within their jurisdiction. Ask yourself, who is being left out of that today? The 15th Amendment legally granted black men the right to vote. For a short time, a number of black men were elected throughout the South to state legislatures, the lieutenant governorship of Mississippi, and the U.S. Congress. However, after federal troops were removed from the South in 1876, 100 years after the signing of the Declaration of Independence, those freedoms and liberties began to slip away as the KKK instituted a reign of domestic terrorism against the freed black populations of the South. The Supreme Court later legalized and enshrined into our legal code Jim Crow segregation, allowing separate schools and all types of facilities throughout the country. In 1960, the modern civil rights movement emerged, and the passage of the Civil Rights Act finally outlawed discrimination against people, and I'm going to read this slowly, on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. The intent of the 14th Amendment, passed nearly a century earlier, was finally realized. But who was still left out of that list? Race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. Anybody want to? Who was left out? Who's left out, Charlotte? So they have sex, but not gender, right? And right, we've learned to kind of differentiate those things. So let's pause again and contemplate that. So stay seated this time while we return to our hymn number 168, One More Step, and we're going to do verses 2 and 3. It's still in your gray hymnal, and the words are still on the screen. So here we are today, 2 days now after the 4th of July. We talked about the 2nd, the 4th, and now it's the 6th. What are our next steps going forward? The 14th Amendment is currently under an unprecedented attack. The Due Process Clause, which states that all people have the right to constitutional protections, has already been flagrantly disregarded. In nearly 2 decades of teaching, I have never questioned that birthright citizenship could ever come under attack. Federal law is conspicuously silent on a path for citizenship for people born in the United States otherwise, so making me very scared of what could ensue if the courts narrowed the scope of birthright citizenship in the 14th Amendment. The wording of the 1965 Civil Rights Act seemed inclusive at the time. However, discrimination based on disability, sexual preference, gender identity, and immigration status are all left out. In recent years, legal protections in civil rights law and decisions have not held up to the application against trans and gender nonconforming communities. A court ruling this past week walked back previous protections for trans athletes and students, and I'm increasingly concerned that the decision in Overfell v. U.S. that legalized same-sex marriage could be reversed. The Voting Rights Act seemed to finally grant African American men and women the right to vote. However, the federal protections of these states' rights have repeatedly been eroded over the past decade, allowing new types of voter suppression to replace grandfather clauses and literacy tests of previous generations. Every day, American women wake up to the increasing loss of their bodily and reproductive autonomy. So where does the 4th of July find us in 2025? At this point in the sermon, I think I'm supposed to give you some kind of rousing call to action. The speaker, that's me, is supposed to call on you, the congregation, that's you, to do something to address this problem. However, I am but a lowly teacher and historian. Facts and ideas are my domain. So instead I say, let's look around us today. Look around at this congregation and look around at this community and find a place and a way to act before the next Independence Day. Do not allow the privileges you have known thus far to lull you into complacency. Find leaders, groups, and programs and put your bodies into action to help our nation take the next step to our national promise in 1776 and, quote, mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Thank you. We're going to go back to the last verse. I missed it in the script. The last verse of One More Step, verse 4.
Before we close, I'd like to draw your attention to our Minutes for Ministries. This is a time when we share brief updates about our congregation's activities to help us stay engaged with our community beyond our Sunday service. This morning, I'd like to draw your attention to the following announcements. Any newcomers with us today are invited to fill out a welcome card to help you get connected with this. You can also talk to our welcome ambassador, who would love to meet you and answer any questions. Look for the sunny gold sash. And the welcome cards to fill out are at the welcome table. Anyone needing a caring presence this morning will find a compassionate listening ear with one of our lay pastoral care associates. You'll recognize them by their sky blue sashes. Do I see one? Okay, well, we'll figure that out when we get to the coffee. Full details about these and many other activities can be found on the back of your order of service, our weekly e-newsletter, or on our website at muff.org, muuf.org. And right now, I'd like to open this up to anyone who would like to volunteer to make an announcement. Come on up.
Okay. In 2 weeks, on Thursday the 24th, okay, 3 weeks, I will be, I'm Charlotte Walwork. I have started a middle school book club. In 3 weeks, we will be having another meeting. We are reading Boy, Two Girl, like the number, and Girl Mode. We would love to see you there.
Good morning. I have one caring thing I'd like to say. LBR Birkenkamp, over a month ago, broke her arm and her hip, and she's working very hard at physical therapy. And so I have cards in Chew Hall to encourage her to keep that up, because it's been over a month and I think it gets really old, and we don't want that to happen. So we'll encourage her. Second is ask me about fun. Okay. Fun for me is being with friends, and that means all of you. So also we have a sign-up sheet in Chew Hall for anyone who's interested, and I hope all of you are, in meals with friends in many different auspices of hybrid things in restaurants or homes or in fellowship. So please sign up in Chew Hall. And it's all about us, so have a good day. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to? Okay, so just to draw your attention to the back of the service for any other activities we didn't mention here. So it is time now for us to bring our time of worship to a close. Though we extinguish our chalice flame, its light will continue to burn in our hearts. As we go out into our daily lives, I leave you with the words of Eleanor Roosevelt. I will read them. True patriotism springs from a belief in the dignity of the individual, freedom and equality, not only for Americans, but for all people on earth. Amen. Blessed be, and go in peace. And our exit song is, "Oh, I Woke Up This Morning."
shouts glory on high.